All right, thank you so much for joining us. And of course, we'll be moving over now to more interesting stories, which of course is the 2023 election. The Independent National Electoral Commission begins the distribution of sensitive electoral materials to states in preparation for the election taking place on Saturday, 25th February 2023. These sensitive materials were in the custody of the Central Bank of Nigeria despite Godwin Emefiele's involvement in some political activities. And of course, we have Mr. Matthew Oluko, who is still giving us his perspective on this matter. What's your take on this, first of all? Looking at the fact that initially the court, barred the involvement of the NUWC chairman from getting involved in the distribution of these materials.
Okay, first of all, let me talk about the Lagos State issue that had to do with Lagos State Garage and Park Committee. Though Inec, through the Inec Federal Commissioner and Head of Voter Education, I'm talking of Barrister Festus Okoye, have made it abundantly clear that they do not enter into agreement with motor unions. That what they normally do is they enter into agreement with individuals.
So who are those individuals?
He's talking about drivers. But again, let me quickly say that if you look at the transport unions, generally, they have a kind of regimented arrangement. And that regimented arrangement, that unitary control, central control is echoed, is prominent in the speech of even the spokesman of Inec, where he was talking about that Inec equally enter into memorandum of understanding with these unions. And that the reason is because if any driver absconds, that they use the union authority to track such individual. So it goes to say that they have some level of authority, control over those drivers. So to that extent, I think the concern raised by PDP and other stakeholders is not totally misplaced. And it's good that it's been addressed by courts.
All right, now, so looking at this issue now that we're talking about, these sensitive materials being, deployed now, distributed. Now, what is your take on that?
I think it's clear. Because what the situation where even the INEC as a body, through their chairman, I'm talking of the Yakubu himself, had engagement with critical stakeholders, the media, political parties, and all that. And in that meeting, he raised issues why options are available to them instead of keeping those sensitive materials with CBN. According to him, he said they think about the option of building warehouses in all the states. And they discovered that they don't have the resources, one, and the time is not even there. So they think about the option of taking it to banks. And they had the challenge of thinking that, okay, some of these banks may be linked to politicians. So how do you now keep sensitive materials in a bank that is being controlled by politicians? They equally think about the option of renting warehouses. And they ran into troubled waters of they could play into the hand of politicians as well. Finally, he said they settled for, I think, hybrid option.
And what are those hybrid options?
A situation where it's like a synergy between INEC and CBN, so that you keep some sensitive materials with CBN, and they on their own part keep some sensitive material. As according to him,
this same CBN governor was partisan, because at some point in time he contested for the seat of the presidency, which he lost.
No, he indicated interest to contest.
Yes, he indicated interest and he lost because he didn't come out as the primary.
He indicated interest, he didn't contest. So the issue of losing is
okay, fine. He indicated interest, but don't you think that there could be some level of involvement?
I'm coming to that.
Okay.
Because part of the reason adduced to by the INEC chairman is that they have not had any issue of compromise since they've been partnering with CBN. And I think it has to do with the confidence, and yes, it has to do with confidence.
Yes.
So since the confidence is there, and I think of all the available options, I think it's the most viable option that all the stakeholders, according to the chairman of Inec, is the option that almost all the stakeholders that attended that meeting accepted. Because according to him, the beavers will be in the custody of Inec itself. Then the printed ballot papers and resource sheets will be with CBN. As we are made to understand currently that even those materials have been moved to state levels. Okay. So as we speak today, it should be at the level of CBN offices in the state, at the state levels. Okay. So for me, I think it has to do with confidence, it has to do with track record, it has to do with antecedent, and this Inec chairman have come out to say they have not had any issue of compromise in the past. And all the areas that are partnered with CBN, they have not have any cause to regret. I listen where you read about Falana talking about usurpation of power of Inec.
Yeah.
I think it is in the respect of CBN perhaps giving the money directly. But don't forget that even the Inec chairman have said before now that before now that they operate account at the level of state level and federal level. That at a point they have to move all the account to CBN. So I think Inec is comfortable working directly with CBN. And if they don't, I see Inec as a body under the leadership of the current chairman willing and ready to give a fair and credible election. So I think if there's any challenge on his way, I don't think he will hesitate by telling Nigerians and making it coming to the press to say it. Because when we had the issue of he needed assurance on CBN to know whether they can get the needed cash to prosecute this election. As we speak, we are made to understand that they will be hiring about 388,000 vehicles for this election. And they will be hiring about 88,000 motorcycles, about 4,000 boats. And as we speak, you have 176,446 polling units. And you need all these motorcycles to go to nook and cranny of this country. And somehow, if you look at this election, it's going to inject liquidity into Nigerian economy. Because the cash they are getting from CBN directly will be used to pay those ad hoc workers. They will pay those 388 drivers that will engage. They will pay the 8,000 motorcycle riders they will engage. The 4,000 boat operators they will engage. They will equally pay them. So it's all going to inject liquidity into the system. So I don't totally agree with Falana. It's somebody I respect very well. That is a usurpation of power of Inec. Because Inec by itself is the one that even decided to move the account they were operating at the state level and the federal level direct to CBN. But I think they feel that is a better way to achieve efficiency.
Now, Falana is opinionated. Whatever he says, it is subject to him anyway. But looking at the movement of these sensitive materials, what do you speak about security? Is security not also going to be factored in?
Definitely, security is going to be factored in. I cannot rule out one or two isolated cases where they may have some security challenge.
Yes.
But if it is not, if it is one or two isolated places or place, you cannot use that to discredit the security agencies themselves. Because you have, like we just said, you have about 776,460. Yeah, 760. It's about 760 something thousand, 776,000 and some fraction polling units in this country.
Yeah.
So to police all the movement of the materials is not a child's play. So if you have one or two places where there is maybe security breach, I don't think it will be enough to discredit security agencies that they have not been able to play their role.
Okay, so now let's look at other factors that would also come into play. Now, at the time where the materials will be moved in, there are times where these individuals might want to take, a time out, probably to go have maybe lunch or whatever. What could be happening during those times? Because it's not something you can just wishfully, wish away when such things are being moved to those locations. What's the security like in those areas? Apart from the fact that they might have moved them successfully to the location where they are going, what would be the likely security in those areas? Because some persons might decide to relax. Okay, we've gotten to the location.
The Constitution do not even empower the police at the polling booth to bear arms. But I think what the police, the army, the DSS, security generally do is they make sure all the nook and cranny, all strategic positions, they mass security, so that they dominate the environment. They deny the criminal space to operate.
For how long?
As long as the election lasts. Because whether I like it or not, as security agencies, they have comparative advantage over criminals. They operate with boldness. They have every right to operate. Criminals, at times, look for soft targets.
Now, when you say they have comparative advantage over them, looking at the situation that we've seen in recent times, especially headsmen and all these other criminals invading barracks sometimes. Are you also aware that these guys can be overwhelmed, especially with the number of securities that is manning a particular location?
When I talk of comparative advantage, you agree with me that as a government, you have access to a platform. The bandits, the terrorists do not have that. You have access to armored personnel carriers that you can station at strategic positions. You cannot say the bandits have it. So there are so many areas where you have comparative advantage to deploy equipments, war armament that they do not have. I quite agree with you that we have had instances where there were breach of security. But that is not to say that they are not trying, because you agree with me that after that issue with Abuja, is it Kuje prison? It's not to say that the criminals may not be trying to compromise any of the correctional facilities since then. So it goes to show that they may have improved in their capacity to protect those facilities.
Okay, now let's move over to more other interesting stories. Looking at the election as it draws closer, what's your outlook, especially with regards to the level of cooperation between Inec and CBN thus far?
I think for me, except otherwise, Inec speaks up. I don't think I have anything to worry about. But again, I think there are areas that bothers me. For instance, don't forget that recently we had the issue of Osun election. And we have a situation where the electoral tribunal declared that the governor that there was overvoting. And before they arrived at that conclusion, they relied on information gotten from beavers. And it was a certified true copy of document they got from Inec. And I've equally read about the former director of Inec, I think one Oluwole, who said the information that APC got to prosecute our showcase was an incomplete information from beavers. He was trying to analyze that beavers is a computer, it is a device, and I needed to transmit the results information from the device to the server, that at the point they obtained the information from the beavers, that all the information that needed to go to the server have not gotten there. So it shows, it bothers one. If somebody can get certified true copy of a document from Inec and is used to invalidate an election of somebody who has been declared winner, and we are hearing stories of perhaps is an incomplete report from beavers, I think Inec should come up to address it and strengthen it and ensure that going forward, if actually it was an incomplete report from beavers, we will not experience such. And again, I read the other time that as part of process and processes of INEC, that if you start the election from the polling unit, that after the votes must have stopped at the polling unit, the INEC personnel, perhaps the ad hoc staff, counts the vote in the presence of all the agents of the parties. And instead of sending that report, that result to INEC viewing portal, that it is taken to the ward level. That's after entering the result into form EC8A. That form EC8A from the unit level will be uploaded to INEC server, not INEC viewing portal. And that form EC8A will be taken to ward level, where enumeration area technicians, who are INEC staffs anyway, will do validation before uploading the result, before entering the result into form EC8B, and thereafter uploading it to INEC viewing portal. But the argument is, from what we read, that in that Alhambra election, some people tried to compromise those enumeration area technicians to see whether they could upload pre-feed from EC8B, though it didn't work. But I'm saying that in the event that you have some unpatriotic Nigerians who are saddled with some responsibility of enumeration area technicians, that they can be used to circumvent the process. So to that extent, I'm saying that let it be that as at the same time from the unit level, we are sending the result to INEC server after being entered into from EC8A, let it simultaneously go to INEC viewing portal, where the public, the press, election observers have access to it for purpose of transparency and accountability.
So you mean at that level now that you just explained that there could be no, interference with these persons who might want to in some way jeopardize the results?
No, what I'm saying is that it is good we minimize human interference. Just like the INEC spokesperson was saying the other day, that they try as much as possible to minimize human interference. Because he was trying to emphasize that even as you are trying to introduce some level of technology, you still have human beings that will manage it. So you need some level of integrity. What happens when you have some persons who doesn't have that integrity and are ready to compromise their responsibility?
Because there's a possibility that you still have some bad eggs among them, isn't it?
That is what I'm saying exactly. That is why we were talking about pernicious interference.
Yes.
Because definitely, if you have such people in the system, their impact will deplete the integrity of the process gradually. So what I'm trying to say in essence is, I'm of the opinion that from the unit level, after entering that result into from EC8A, let it simultaneously be sent to INEC server and INEC viewing portal, instead of taking it to ward level, where enumeration area technicians will have to validate, enter into from EC8B before it goes to INEC viewing portal.
Well, thank you so much for this analysis, but we are not done yet. We'll be going, for another break now, and when we return, we'll be bringing you more stories. Please to stay with us.